Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be trying something a little different here because I keep being sent this video and I keep being told, hey, I'd like to see you do a reaction to this video or cover it or review it. And I said I would never do a reaction video on this channel, but some things need to be reacted to. And apparently some people in my community would love to see it. So we got a video from IGN. It's a 9-minute video. We're going to go over it. We're going to discuss some things here, my opinions on it. And it's a video called Baldur's Gate 3 is causing some developers to panic. And it's actually a well-titled video because throughout the video, you're going to see things where where developers are saying things in either to prevent the public from setting a new bar in the gaming industry. And they talk to the community like we're dumb. And frankly, I just think we should take a look at it. So let's see what Destin has to say here.
Baldur's Gate 3 is taking the internet by storm. At its peak, a whopping 800,000 plus concurrent players were playing this weekend, catapulting it to the number 8 most played of all time spot. The gaming community has sung its praises, and it's incredibly refreshing to play a feature-complete game of this caliber on day one.
Nice.
But AAA game developers want you to know that this is Rockstar level.
Okay, Rockstar level nonsense for scope. I would not be surprised if this was more dev effort than the next 2 or 3 games in the genre combined. So I get what they're saying here. They're saying that this game is a unicorn game or 1 in a million game. It's an anomaly, right? And that trying to compare other games that are going to come out are not the same. The argument that I have for that is that I don't see why not, right? I mean, I understand there are going to be games that are going to bomb and not going to hit with the community, but these are AAA studios that have the money to back these out. And the reason why they're making this argument is because they are too concerned about us having to wait for a game. They want to pump a game out every year. And they're saying you're not going to get a new game every year that's going to be as stellar and good as Baldur's Gate. And I don't know how many times we have to tell the developers, we're okay with waiting. There's a point where waiting too long is too much, but we're still like, they pushed Baldur's Gate back several times and it came out and it's a stellar game. So you being concerned about it being a Rockstar level nonsense for scope is just a bit unrealistic on your part, because on the developer's part, because there's no reason why you can't put out a banger of a game every several years. The problem is that we're not getting it every several years. Like, we get a good game from some of these developers once in like a decade. And that's what we're complaining about, is that, you know, there's zero effort and zero testing that's going on. They say that they are testing them, but we don't see that when they get released, right? They get released buggy, and we wonder who tested these games.
Nonsense for scope, that it's foolhardy to set expectations higher, and Baldur's Gate 3 should not be used as a raised standard to RPGs going forward.
I don't understand why it shouldn't be a raised standard. You should always be wanting to improve for your customer base. You should be always wanting to move forward. We don't want you to stay in the same lane. We want to see new and exciting things from you all the time.
Why was the first response to defend the current state of AAA gaming as opposed to saying, hey, maybe we can learn a thing or two from Baldur's Gate?
Oh, yes, my dude.
Make our game better for our customers.
Yes, yes.
This all kicked off way back on July 8th, a lifetime ago by internet standards, I know, when a writer and BAFTA nominee, Xavier Nelson, took to Twitter to express concerns about Baldur's Gate 3, namely that fans would use Baldur's Gate 3 to apply criticism or a raised standard to RPGs going forward.
Of course, we're going to be using it as a standard to raise the bar. We want the bar to be raised. There is new software that's coming out that raises the bar for software. Why can't we expect you to fully utilize that software to give us better titles?
My rebuttal is, Why shouldn't customers have raised
Yes.
Taking it a step further, why shouldn't some AAA developers raise their own standards? Are we really going to pretend that consumers shouldn't be a little upset right now and hoping for an improvement in the industry going forward? Rockstar just announced a $50 conversion of the original Red Dead Redemption for the PlayStation 4 and Switch that has no mention of a 4K update, no mention of 60 FPS, and no mention of multiplayer support. The game came out 13 years ago, and the Xbox port does everything they're offering, and then some for free with your 360 copy.
Yep.
Go buy a brand new copy of the Game of the Year edition on Amazon right now for $30, and you're good to go. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, when released on
Look
PC,
at the frame rates.
Furious fans citing numerous problems getting the game to run, frequent crashes, and similar problems on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox. EA apologized.
Oh, look. White letter, black background. We see these all the time.
And is still working to fix the issues. Destiny 2 just released a State of the Game blog saying, amongst other things, that they don't have the resources to release new ritual armor every season.
Whoa, wait. You don't have the resources to put out new armor, but you can pump out $20 skins in your store all the time? I don't get this one.
But that same studio
he even brings it up.
Create new armor sets in the shop for up to $20 a pop without fail every season. Diablo 4 unabashedly has several character skins priced at $20 each and just released their first season that had a patch that was so poorly thought out that the developers had to have an emergency live stream to apologize and have since begun working to revert those changes.
We don't plan on doing a patch like this ever again.
Okay, you need a more comparable RPG example of why fans are heralding Baldur's Gate 3 as a breath of fresh air. Look no further than Mass Effect Andromeda, which was widely panned.
Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
Or Cyberpunk 2077 that made promises
Oh
about
my
last-gen
God.
game consoles that it couldn't keep. It took CDPR almost a year to get that all.
Oh, look at that. Now, I have Cyberpunk, and I did play it, but I stopped playing it because it ran horribly. And that was even after they supposedly fixed things. I still have it, and I should probably go back and revisit it, but I was still experiencing some of this even after their fixes.
Sorted out. I'll make this as clear as possible to contextualize how fans are feeling. It feels like money has become more important than the core experience for
We've only
fans.
been saying that
That's
for
why
years.
Elden Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, and even The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are being widely celebrated. So what is up with the excuses? A game came along that is amazing, is selling well, is being praised by developers and fans alike, and the response is, well, we can't do that.
Go off,
well,
Destin.
sweet. If that doesn't get me hyped for Mass Effect 4, I don't know what will.
Go off, my dude. Go off.
Xavier's tweet was well-intentioned, and he went on to add a lot of important context, but I think it misses the perspective of the consumer. We don't know anything about game design or how hard it is. We just know that Destiny is deleting hundreds of dollars worth of expansions when they feel like it, that Diablo is constantly reminding us to buy skins in their store, and most PC ports have been abysmal lately.
Yes.
Remember, that tweet was made nearly a month before Baldur's Gate 3 blew up, and it was still contentious with fans speaking up about their frustrations and developers chiming in to say what felt like game development is hard, you don't get it, be quiet.
Okay, so that's the thing that I was talking about, is that we have developers who are telling us how hard their job is, and we know exactly how hard your job is. But that doesn't excuse you from doing it properly and or telling us that you need more time because you haven't been able to work it out. But the reality is that we live in a day and age where we have access to the internet more than ever before and resources more than ever before. We have developers that are making games that are single people developers that learned it in a course or through YouTube and developing their own games. Big Fry TV is developing his own game with a group of dedicated creators that are and developers that want to make a game for a lower price point. There used to be a point in time in our life where we had games that were being made, and the goal was to make your money on the day of release of the game, and then anything else was just extra. And trying to break even was the point. Now we have games that are trying to make as much money over a period of time as long as possible in order to continue paying their staff. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's never made any sense to me. Part of that has to do with the fact that I'm not a developer, but it just makes more sense to me from a consumer point of view that you would want to develop a game that when you release it pays for itself.
Baldur's Gate 3 is a game from a large, passionate studio that refuses to add microtransactions, gave players early access so they could address any problems that arose before launch, and is taking Steam charts by storm. So why should fans not use that as a gold standard of how to do it right?
We should.
And why would a AAA studio not look at it and say, hey, maybe cramming microtransactions into our game isn't a good look? When Mass Effect 4 comes out, I don't want to see a $20 Liara skin.
I don't either.
I hope that its performance is tested across all platforms before release. Am I in the wrong for not wanting microtransactions?
No, absolutely not, my dude.
Credit where credit's due now. There have been some really good examples of AAA games like the Dead Space remake and the Resident Evil 4 remake come to mind, both of which have been massive successes for EA and Capcom. Vampire Survivors came along and took the internet by storm last year.
And that was a 99-cent game. This was a 99-cent game that was made by a single person and made a whopping like $12 million in the first week it was released at 99 cents.
Do I need to bring up Elden Ring again? But that tweet blew up in the development sphere, and frankly, the pushback is just ridiculous. Developers should be looking at what Baldur's Gate 3 did and trying to replicate where they can, not jumping up to defend games that are cramming in practices that fans are getting fed up with. And make no mistake about it, these decisions impact game design. Many games are utilizing battle passes and player engagement as a metric of success. For a player, that means more grindy missions. That means more reminders to stop in the shop. It means a boring grind because keeping players engaged is a key metric.
Yes.
Many of the people who came out to talk about why Baldur's Gate 3 shouldn't be the new standard have since walked back those statements, and I'm glad, because if the industry can't take a good hard look at what's going wrong, why fans reacted the way they did to Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate 3, and then make impactful changes, we're screwed.
We've been screwed for a long time, my dude. And yeah, it's always been the metric standard, and the reason being is because they want to make as much money as possible to make sure that their dev teams are paid. But they can't seem to find any other way to do it than grinding us to death through our wallet. To me, it feels the same way as the people who depend on getting tips in either to make and pay their bills. Considering we're one of the last capital countries in the world to ever have that standard in place. And you can go over to Europe, and tipping is very rare because they pay their employees a livable wage. But yet here in the United States, we still do it. And I know that's a kind of a pull off from what we're talking about here, but it feels the same way. It feels like every time they add these transactions, they're like, please buy these transactions so that we can pay our developers. But then they hand their CEOs $80 million bonus checks.
Also, people seem to be using the fact that Larian is a big studio against them, the fact that they had a long development cycle against them. Really? Blizzard is also a huge studio with over 8,500 employees across several offices. They credited every employee at Blizzard in the release of Diablo 4. Bungie is a huge studio with over 1,552 employees across several offices. BioWare is a huge studio with over 500 employees across several offices. And Larian is also a large studio with over 400 employees across several offices.
Yes.
All of them have established beloved IPs with a ton of lore to pull from. All of them have a lot of money to make video games. And all of them had a long time to make anything they wanted to make.
Yes.
Say Baldur's Gate 3 is successful because it's aligned with Dungeons and Dragons is insanity. You think 800,000 Steam players are playing a game called Baldur's Gate 3 because of Dungeons and Dragons?
No.
It's clearly gone far beyond that audience.
It has.
I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't know this game had anything to do with Dungeons and Dragons. And you know why I'm playing it? Because I like good games with a heavy focus on storytelling.
Yes.
And bears. But anyway,
And
it
bears.
wasn't all doom and gloom from the development side. Thank
Ooh,
you,
Juno.
Please, formerly a Riot, for jumping in and echoing exactly what I'm saying here. Her quote tweet reads, "I can't disagree with this one more. Whenever a game disrupts the industry and delights players beyond expectations, it absolutely raises industry and genre standards regardless of why and how. We
Yes.
should look at the Larian success story and ask ourselves, how are we going to make our games better and create the next games that shake up the industry? Players should and must always expect more from us, never less."
See, this is what I was saying earlier. Thank you, Juno, for actually saying that, because this is what led to the boom in the gaming industry that we had in the 90s and early 2000s, was them constantly wanting to up the bar for the video games. Now people don't want to up the bar. Now they want to make a what they think to be a good game and then ride that out as long as possible. And what's happening is we're getting a very stagnant and boring gaming industry currently. We either get games that are released buggy, or it takes too long to release a game. Looking at you, Tarkov.
Thank you. I implore AAA devs to look at these games that are being celebrated and look at your pipeline to see why the consumer is getting frustrated about the experience I outline in this video. And obviously try and make an improvement. Because
It's not a
telling
customer
me how hard
issue.
it is when you're breaking profit and revenue records
Oh my God.
isn't a super compelling argument from the customer's perspective. Is Baldur's Gate 3 an outlier? Yes.
Yes.
But I, for one, wish it could become the standard, and being told to shut up because I don't know game design doesn't feel super constructive. But hey, I'm just some idiot on the internet who doesn't know anything about game design. I guess I'll just go buy my horse armor and call it a day. Enjoy your $20 on top of your $100 for the collector's edition, on top of your $15 for the battle pass. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, because I get why you're frustrated, and it's really frustrating to see people not saying, hey, maybe we could learn a thing or two from Larry.
Yes.
I'm enduring Baldur's Gate 3, and I hope game development continues to grow from where it is today. I hope you do too. Let me know in the comments below. And for more on all things gaming, keep it right here on IGN.
Thank you very much, my dude. So this video is a banger video, and one of the reasons why is because of what I've said before on my channel. Games like Call of Duty Warzone or just Call of Duty Modern Warfare in general has a player base of like 80 million players or 80 million accounts. And having content creators say these things isn't hitting the point enough until we start getting some very large people in the industry saying the same things. Having IGN say this is a W, right? This is a win for us guys. And hopefully we can get more institutions like IGN to start saying some of these things and willing to put their input out there, because we're getting tired of being nickeled and dimed to death. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. I had a lot of fun watching this. And if you guys did, make sure you guys hit the subscription button, hit the bell notification to know when I put out a new video. Who knows? Maybe I'll do some more reaction videos. Let me know what you think down in the doobly-doo down below. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Peace.